What's up, readers? It's Andrea. Happy Halloween, or Samhain, or whatever other names there are for Halloween. Whatever. I am here today to tell you my favorite Halloween reads and to share some other recommendations I have for you. So I'm just going to jump right into it, and then I'll do my update, and then I'll let you go. So hopefully this video will be really quick, and you can start reading for your last 13 days. 13 days of Halloween. So I'm going to give you my top 5, and then I'm going to tell you some other recommendations that I have. I want to share that I have some spooky decorations. You might not be able to see it, but I have a teddy bear dressed up as a witch, and it's very important. So to jump right into it, the first book I do not have the physical copy with me. It is not here. But the first book I have is Halloween Night 2 by R.L. Stine. If you are looking for a really cheesy, really quick read, I highly recommend this one. It's not the best book. Like I said, it is like, there we go. It is super cheesy. It is not very well written. I love R.L. Stine, but it's definitely not one of his best. But I think if you want that type of read, like that quick mystery, that quick read, basically, I would recommend it. It's obviously spooky. It takes place on Halloween. My dog is going nuts in the background. Yeah, so the next book I have is actually, I lied, it's not childhood favorite, but it could be your childhood favorite. I have, of course, no big shocker here, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, collected from folklore and retold by Alvin Schwartz, drawings by Stephen Gamel. Anyways, I know a movie just came out for this. I have not watched it. I don't really have a big interest in watching it. I'm very, very, very skeptical about book-to-movie adaptations and remakes alike. I know this wouldn't be a remake, but talking in the movie world. These are just a bunch of collective short stories that I think are pretty spooky, pretty scary. I think some of them, I haven't read this in a while, but I think some of them have like some sort of comedy element. And the illustrations are actually really scary. I mean, that's pretty scary for a kid's book. But I mean, if you like, it's another like short, you know, read a very quick thing. If you have children and they're into horror, I highly recommend this. I was always into horror as a kid. Probably wouldn't read it before dark, or not dark, before bed, I mean. But again, it's just a highly recommended, pretty short read. Our next book is not a short read. I have not finished this, so I'm kind of speaking out of nowhere for this. But that would be Stephen King's It. I have an original copy. Not all, but most of my Stephen King books are actually from my grandmother, who used to own all of his books. So this is the nice hardcover, big edition. I probably wouldn't start this now. I could have recommended this earlier, but again, this is just a nice big book to read for Halloween. I have, I think no, not a Clockwork Reader. What's her name? Yep, I'm not going to look it up, but I will link her channel below and the video, because she did I read it in 24 hours. So you could read this in a night, or if you're a huge avid reader, have a lot of time in your hands, I would definitely recommend it. And then go ahead and watch the original movie, and then part 1, and maybe part 2. I haven't seen part 2 yet. But if you don't know what this book is about, it is about these kids who live in Derry, Maine, I believe. And there's this clown named Pennywise who comes every 27 years. So you see them as kids fighting the clown, and then you see them as adults fighting the clown together. I don't think that the book breaks it up like the remake movies do. I think it's more like the original, where you get a mix of here's what they were doing as kids and here's what they were doing as adults. Again, I love Stephen King. Even if the story isn't good, I highly recommend all of his books because his writing is just that good. Now, this next book I've had since I was a small kid. I've always been a horror fanatic, so my next book is Nightmares by Witchfell. It is Nightmares, Poems to Trouble Your Sleep by Jack Perlutsky, illustrated by Arnold Lobel. This is poems, obviously, short poems that are creepy or have more of a scary story, of course, with illustrations. They're all relatively short, I would say. Again, if you have kids and they're into horror, I would definitely recommend this. The illustrations are pretty cute. I don't really know how hard it is to find this book. Like I said, I've had it forever, but it is a personal favorite of mine. Obviously, I can read this all year round. It's very short, and I would definitely give it a read. So, the last book that I have as my top 5 recommendations is Carrie by Stephen King. I absolutely love the book. I mean, the movie's amazing too. I also have the movie sitting right here. I have some movies ready for Halloween viewing. Carrie. Read the book, then watch the movie. It's a pretty short read. This is Stephen King's first book. It's just a mass paperback. Pretty typical, like, you know, how short books are. If you don't know what this story is about, it is about this girl named Carrie. I believe she's in her senior year of high school, and her mother is a, like, religious freak, and basically is very controlling and abusive to Carrie. Carrie ends up going to the prom after this, that, and the other, and gets pig's blood spilled on her. She can control things with her mind. What's the name of that? Can you hear my neighbors talking? Oh, no, they stop. What's the name? Telekinesis, maybe? Anyways, Carrie notices she has this, so when she gets the pig's blood dropped on her, she starts a fire in the school gym and tries to kill all of her classmates. If you've watched the movie before, I'm gonna sneeze. If you've watched the movies before, I definitely recommend this. I actually liked it more than the movie, which typically is the case with me anyways, but I highly recommend this. So those are my top 5. Very quick, pretty quick reads, except for it, but what are you gonna do? So my last recommendations are pretty easy. I just lost my phone. I'm gonna need that in a little bit. Pretty quick recommendations. If you don't like anything that I picked on my list, you could also read any Stephen King book. I have some examples for you. So let's go through them pretty quickly. We're gonna put this on the floor, or on my lap at least. Sleeping Beauties by Stephen King and his son Owen King. I haven't read it. I'm pretty sure. Let's just read the quick summary here. In a future so real and near it might be now, something happens when women go to sleep. They become shrouded in a cocoon-like gauze. If they are awakened, if the gauze wrapping their bodies is disturbed or violated, the women become feral and spectacularly violent. And while they sleep, they go into another place, a better place where harmony prevails and conflict is rare. So that's the first paragraph of this. Obviously, again, I just love Stephen King, so I'm not really going to go into it too much. Next book. That was loud. The Shining, which is one of my personal favorites. I really need to finish this book again. It's falling apart. This is another original copy, so you can just see how much it's falling apart. If you don't know what this one's about, it's one of my favorite movies too, and the movie isn't really anything like the book. Ask Stephen King himself. But basically, Jack Torrance, he is a writer and is going to be at this hotel all winter with his son, what's-his-face, and his wife, Wendy. What's his son's name? Danny. And some spooky stuff starts happening. Spooky in the sense of more Jack is ready to kill his entire family. So that's that. Next recommendation, I have Thinner by Stephen King, writing as Richard Bachman, who I believe would be the main character here. Right? No. I'm confused. Anyways, let's not talk about that. It is a Stephen King book. I believe this is... Well, let's read it. Thinner, the old gypsy man with the rotting nose whispered and caressed his cheek like a lover. Billy Halleck, a good husband, loving father, lives in Connecticut and practices law in New York City. He is both beneficiary and victim of the American good life. He has an expensive home, a nice family, and a rewarding job, but he also is 50 pounds overweight, and his doctor keeps reminding him he is 36 years old, edging into heart attack country. So, I mean, I thought there was something with like a pie. Oh, okay. He starts randomly losing weight, and then he keeps eating, and he keeps shedding it off, basically. there's that. I don't really know how spooky that one is. I haven't read that one. This next one I have read. It's Cujo by Stephen King. Pretty good book. I actually didn't like the story that much, but the writing is really good, obviously. It's about a rabbit dog. Done. Easy. Next one. Next one is Christine, which is about a car who's alive and kills people. I'm 100% sure on that. Someone tell me. Someone, for the love of Jeebus, tell me what this book is about. I'm almost 100% sure this is about a car, and then I have Pet Cemetery, which is about a pet cemetery, and they come back, and there's some trying to kill up in here. So, next, any R.L. Stine books. I will do a video soon of my entire R.L. Stine collection. As of now, have not gotten around to doing that. Any R.L. Stine books. I'm talking Goosebumps, I'm talking Fear Street, or any of his other books that don't fall into those two categories, or side books. There's so many R.L. Stine books you could read. YA, kids, just, I love him. I absolutely love him. This isn't focusing right. Definitely, highly recommend him, especially during spooky season. Next one, second to last, is In a Dark, Dark Room and Other Scary Stories, retold by Alvin Schwartz. Pictures by Dirk Zimmer. So this is actually by the same person who did the Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, which I didn't know that, but this is actually one of my favorite books from when I was a kid. It is a reading level 2, if you want to pay attention to that at all, so it's a very easy read. Again, if you have kids, I highly recommend it for them. It was a huge favorite of mine when I was a kid, and it's just another collection of short stories. Sorry, my phone's going off. Last one I have, if you are into classics and you're not into anything that I just listed, I would talk about Frankenstein, which I actually read my freshman year of high school, by Mary Shelley. It is a classic. It is actually pretty good. I'm not one who normally can get through classics. My head just isn't used to them. Frankenstein is actually not the monster, contrary to belief. It's the doctor. So Dr. Frankenstein makes this thing, it's monster, out of other human body parts. And then the monster terrorizes everybody because he's misunderstood and lonely and doesn't really know what he's doing. So, happy Halloween. I do hope you enjoyed this video. If you do, leave a like and maybe a comment if you feel like it. Also, feel free to share this at any time. Quick update, sorry this didn't go out on Wednesday as originally planned. I'm hoping this either goes out right after I'm done recording it, which is, it's Friday, or it goes out on Sunday. All my socials are below. I have Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, Tumblr, and Goodreads for you to check out, and I will read by Zoe. That was a channel I was talking about way back when. I will link her video and her channel down low because I talked about how she read it in 24 hours. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope y'all have a good one.